So, welcome to the First Catholic Nerds podcast, episode 1. I have here with me Colby, Mary, and Cody. Do y'all want to introduce yourselves? And I guess I'll come in on the back end and introduce myself.
Sure. I think Colby should go first.
I was going to say, y'all go first. I was going to pour myself another glass of wine, but...
I've got coffee, you've got wine.
Mm-hmm. Well, supposedly red wine is good for your heart, so that's why I've been keeping up with it.
Oh, yeah. Gluten-free red wine. We might talk about that later.
Right. So sure, my name is Colby Allen. I am 30 years old. I live in Carencro, Louisiana. I'm recently engaged.
Woo! As in, 2 days now?
Actually, it happened the weekend before Christmas.
What? And we just now are finding out about this?
Yeah, so we were trying to keep it a little quiet so we can tell family. And of course, there's a million family members you have to talk to. So, and I actually
have to be strategic about that.
Yeah, I didn't even want her to put it on Facebook or Instagram or anything yet. And she kind of pushed me. She's like, we need to tell people, we need to do this. I'm like, all right, you do whatever you're going to do, and I just have to follow suit. So.
It's a good way to start the relationship.
Right. Whatever you want, honey. That's how this is going to go.
That reminds me of how Ashley and I started our marriage. We were with Father Bob was presiding, and he was like, y'all want to be Eucharistic ministers? And I was like, oh, yeah, sure, that's fine. Ashley scooted me off the altar and was like, we're not doing that.
Oh, like for your own wedding?
Yeah, Oh,
wow.
Oh, my gosh.
She set me straight. But this
awesome.
is a good sign that we're getting tangential, even just in the introductions.
Sure.
Sure.
So I guess to wrap up, I've been working with the same company now for 6 years. I work in insurance and finance. I enjoy riding motorcycles, and I collect whiskeys, and I have a beautiful fiance, and I guess part of the probably come up at some other point, but I'm also a convert. I've been confirmed now for 10 years, 10 and a half years with my family.
10.5 years, as of Easter or something like that?
As of this past Easter, yeah.
Okay.
And so, yeah, that's up in a nutshell, and I guess more will come out later. So, see y'all.
Sweet.
And Mary? I'm going to get some more wine.
Go.
Okay, well, I'm Mary Reed. I have an amazing husband named Cody, who's also here, although we can't hear him, and 2 beautiful children. Rose is about to be 4, and Francis just made 2. And I am in the entertainment and law enforcement and food industry. I'm a stay-at-home mother. And so,
oh man, that's great. We need to get you a badge for that.
So yeah, it's pretty wonderful, pretty eclectic days. I have a theology degree from Notre Dame Seminary. And
I hear that's the best place to get a theology degree.
It's true. I've heard that too. And I'm really not sure what else. I used to work for Louisiana Right to Life, so I have a lot of experience with pro-life issues and pro-life apologetics, and just happy to be here and to participate in this.
Okay, so my name is Scott Smith. I'm the one that's dragooned these other guys into nerding out with me, Catholic nerding out with me. I am a lawyer, God help me. I also have a theology degree from same place Mary does, from Notre Dame Seminary. I have, we all live in Louisiana. I'm from New Roads, and I have 4 children, 6 for 2, and 9, I think about 9 months. My wife is nodding yes, so I'm glad she's here with me, because she's my reference on a lot of my things concerning my own life. What else should I mention? Oh yeah, I blog at thescottsmithblog.com, and I think that's about enough of me. I may be the nerdiest one here. If we need somebody to, be a Catholic nerd expert on, Star Wars, comics, Lord of the Rings, that kind of stuff, I don't have. I think Mary's got a cool Mary and Cody have their cool pro-life background. Colby, one thing I wanted you to mention more is your theology of the body background. But yeah, I'm just your classic nerd background, really.
See, and I used to be a nerd in high school, but then I kind of grew out of it. So
yeah, then you got cool, or too cool for us.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Cody would fight you for the nerdiest designation.
Well, he would probably win a fight. But if it's nerd wrestling, we'll just break out my Lord of the Rings and Star Wars Trivial Pursuit games. We'll do like a double-decker Trivial Pursuit game.
Star Wars Trivial
Sounds
Pursuit.
good.
I think I played that one time with my brother, and that was enough.
That was the last time.
Yeah. One and done.
So some of the things I wanted us to talk about tonight, we need to pick out a theme song. Of course, being the Christmas season, we may have a seasonal theme song. We be good to talk about the 12 Days of Christmas, since we're in the midst of those. And then I was thinking if we had time, we could kind of go through our favorite Christmas movies, or kids' Christmas movies kind of stuff. Do y'all have off the top of your head any ideas for theme songs? I guess if we're talking about the 12 Days of Christmas today, we may that may end up being like an intro.
Sure. I guess it'd be pretty easy to find some free tracks on SoundCloud or something for holiday theme music. For what, 10 seconds? Like a 10-second clip?
Yeah, maybe something like 30. But I guess once once the holidays, what should we have, like our own theme song, like
absolutely
later on? Oh, hey, there's Cody. You want to introduce yourself, Cody?
Hi, I'm Cody.
We said our names and like our families.
She already covered how many kids y'all have.
And like what you do.
I am Mary's not better half. I work for the Knights of Columbus currently, so I'm a financial professional.
Awesome.
Graduated from St. Joseph's Seminary College. I guess bringing to the table some background in apologetics, mostly pro-life apologetics and philosophy, and lots of comic books and movies and music and all kinds of fun stuff that I enjoy in my spare time, and video games, of course.
Yeah, I don't have very good knowledge of video games. I know Cody remembers all the times that they killed me playing video games.
Yeah, he's at the beach is one phrase that stands out to me.
I'm stuck in the water. Yeah, and I guess we should mention that Cody and I are both seminary dropouts. Catholic seminary dropouts.
Well,
I don't know if you can really say that, because I was a Jesuit dropout.
I graduated.
Yeah, they kept you in long enough till you wanted to quit, right?
Yeah, until I figured out, that there were different kinds of Catholics out there. Some less Catholic than others.
Amen to that.
I was like, you ever heard that joke about the grandmother that's trying to get her grandson in the seminary?
Please tell us.
Okay, so the grandmother's determined that her grandson's going to be a priest. So she goes to the bishop. Says, Bishop, I want my grandson to be a priest. He's like, okay, well, it takes about 8 years. Minor seminary, major seminary, and then he's ordained. She's like, okay. So then, she goes to the Dominican order. And he was like, provincial, I want my grandson to be a priest. Tell me about your order. I was like, it'll take about probably 10 years, to go through the whole program and formation and eventually be a priest. So then she takes him to the Jesuit order and asks the provincial, I want my grandson to be a priest. What does your order offer? He's like, well, it'll take about 14 years. She's like, well, I guess we'll pick this one. He's a slow learner.
There you go.
Shots fired.
Now that we've offended a bunch.
See, I've got a good one I'm pulling up. Let's see if I can pull up a guy. A guy needs prayers for a very material thing. He goes up to a Franciscan and a Jesuit. He asks a Franciscan, how many rosaries do I need to say to get a Ford Mustang? Really, the way I like it is, how many rosaries do I have to say to get a Lamborghini? And the Franciscan replies, what's a Lamborghini? And so then he goes next to the Jesuit, and the Jesuit replies, what's a rosary? It's so bad.
That's good. That's good.
Well, today is day 2 of the 12 Days of Christmas. No, that's not the feast we celebrate.
Okay, wait.
Day 2 or day 3?
Time out. You're going to have to repeat that. Sorry.
Okay.
So what I just typed and hit enter, we have a friend over
Oh, wait.
who was helping us put our kids
yeah?
to bed, and so I typed something so that she'd know what was going on.
Scott is trigging to start a
And I hit
okay.
enter, but that was not meant for you guys. That was meant for her. But my finger just hits enter without me consenting to it. So I apologize. So delete all that. Christine, say hi. Hello. Y'all know Christine, huh?
Hey. I'm going to say yes.
Pretty sure you've met her.
Yeah.
It's Scott Smith and Colby Allen. Christine is very graciously helping us. Christine says congratulations, Colby. She was thank you. Christine's graciously helping us try to train Francis to go to sleep without breastfeeding. So she's coming in and swooping in and being this maternal figure that's not breastfeeding them.
That could actually be another topic for us to talk about. Sorry, not to derail, but so one of my other friends was telling me recently they've had issues with their baby sleeping at night. Mm-hmm. She's in a mom's group. It's called Well-Read Moms. So it's like a book club. And randomly, one of the moms brought up the topic that they like family sleep, where there's like basically all the kids sleep with the parents. But she was embarrassed to bring it up. And she said, but once she brought it up, almost all of the moms in the group brought up that they do something like that. Yeah,
it's pretty common, co-sleeping.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I kind of like made the joke at first. I'm like, what, are they Jewish? Like, everybody's in one room, but
trying to get them out of the house.
Right. But I guess family dynamics, could be another topic, because she's embarrassed, to even talk about it, because they have issues with their toddler getting to sleep by himself or staying asleep, and the only thing that ever consoles him is like being with them. And so, like, I guess talking about Western culture, how we have to have everything separated and segregated, so where like parents have to have their own space and the kids have to have their own space, versus most other Eastern or not as Western as us countries,
non-Western,
still like have some notion of like family sleeping,
right? Like historically,
right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I mean we've done like different like amounts of co-sleeping. We've just sort of figured whatever we need to do is kind of what we do.
Yeah, to get the job done.
Yeah, but like I don't know, like trying not to rely too heavily on it, but not to be afraid of it either if it's kind of what needs to happen in a given situation.
And I know poor Ashton's been our youngest, the baby that's 9 months, Elizabeth Joy. She's been pretty much nursing all night. Like she's had some serious separation anxiety. But I mean, on one hand, the nursing versus non-nursing and co-sleeping versus, I think that probably plays into it just because the kid wants that proximity comfort. But when the mother nurses, speaking as from a father's perspective, or maybe just from my very individual perspective, it's like I don't have much to do at all. Or I'm just like, I am so less capable of helping the kid, comforting the child compared to her. It's like,
it's it's funny how like nursing is such sort of a blessing, but it also can be like, I don't know, it can be intense. And it can,
it's like baby cooking.
Yeah, and also, like, so I just always assumed because our babies fell asleep so easily while nursing, I assumed that was what one did, was nurse babies to get them to sleep. And I'm only just finding out from friends that, like, that's how you end up with a baby that only will go to sleep nursing, you know?
Yeah, so it's like 30
Right.
years old and can't get to sleep without a hot milk.
Right,
Yeah.
which, I mean, seems very logical, right? But, like, until it was pointed out to me, like, oh, yeah, like, you need to make sure they don't fall asleep while nursing and set them down when they're sleepy. It's like, oh, that makes a heck of a lot of sense. Just never... So for our next one, we are going to be trying... we're going to be doing things a little differently. Not...
Yeah, each new kid's like a duo.
It is. It really is. But it's also a completely different kid. So, like, you make all these plans, and then you're like, whoop.
Yeah.
Totally different situation.
They and God laugh at your plans.
Yeah.
See, and that's why siblings are always so different, because they have different parenting
It's
styles.
true.
Yeah.
That were applied to them growing
It's
up.
true. It's like, I don't know, one of those movies where people keep reliving the same day over and over again, and, you know.
Yeah, Groundhog
Yeah.
Day.
That's
That
just
should
one of
count as a favorite holiday movie.
that is one of my favorite movies.
I mean, of course, it's not, it's Groundhog Day is the holiday, so that's kind of a subpar holiday for an awesome movie.
But no, there's a good message in that movie. So Bill Murray and I actually share a birthday, so he's one of my favorite actors because of that. But the movie itself has a really good meaning. So, because all the time that he's reliving the days when he's selfish, it's never fruitful or fulfilling. And it isn't until he becomes selfless and making a gift of his time for other people that he actually becomes, fulfilled or actually has some joy in his day.
Is that what that movie's about? I've never seen it. I've never seen.
It's a little tricky to figure it out, but yes.
Because I had wanted to write, like, I had seen a video once about, like, writing fiction, and, like, it was just asking some questions about, like, if you were to write fiction, what would you want to write about? And I was like, the more I thought about it, I was like, I think I want to write a book about essentially what you just said. So, dang it, it's already been done.
No, it's true. And not to give away too much of the plot, but yeah, as he kind of figures out that he's living the same day over and over.
I think you can go straight into. I think that's no need even for spoiler alert on. That's in the public domain of spoilers.
All right, well then we'll just dive right into it.
Go for it.
But yeah, so as he figures out, he's living the same day over and over, he starts to figure out how he can manipulate or have some type of like personal pleasure in each day without any consequence. And so he starts doing all these different activities to try to maximize his pleasure, such as like hooking up with different women, eating all these different unhealthy foods. He starts doing all this stuff that's just not fruitful. Like he even like robs like an armored truck, right? As they're making a cash delivery.
Yeah, and harasses poor Ned, the insurance salesman.
Right. So like, he does all these really kind of nefarious and annoying things to his own detriment, to where he starts to become extremely unhappy. And it isn't until he starts using his time to help and serve other people that he becomes, actually experiencing some joy. So like he learns to play the piano. And really his whole goal, you kind of notice like throughout each day or each episode, is he has this goal of seducing this one woman that he works with.
Andy McDowell, right.
But he realizes, every time he relives a day where he tries to like manipulate her, it doesn't work out. And it's not until he starts to actually do things that are fruitful to develop himself and develop other people that things start to turn positive. So again, like he learns to play the piano. He began, very involved in like some of the local groups and within the community. Like he does things very positive. Like he saves people,
right.
That he knows are either going to get sick or get hurt. So like he does all these really positive things, and it's only when he starts doing those things to be productive with his time that he actually becomes fulfilled, and then he gets to move on with his life.
So what's happened at the end where Punxsutawney Phil, the groundhog, is like driving the truck in his lap, like Toonces, the driving cat.
Well,
is there like a bomb or something?
No. One of the days where when he becomes miserable, he's finding different creative ways to kill himself. So he finds
putting the toaster in the bathtub and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so that's actually one of the ways that he kills himself, was that he kidnaps the groundhog and steals a truck, and he runs the truck off a cliff.
Okay, I was thinking that was more the climax.
So is this thing a comedy, or is it like super dark? Because it's really
it's a comedy. Even, and it's kind of weird to say too. Like even the scenes of morbidity where he tries to kill himself, like there's humor in them. But it's not like a morbid, dark, horrific movie. And it does turn out really well. In
my interest is piqued.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good movie. It is one of my top 10 movies. And so I definitely recommend seeing it.
Cool.
So on that topic, what's everybody's top Christmas movie?
Oh, gee.
Like, okay, and you got, we have to subdivide a little bit because there's, your favorite movie as a kid, and then now your favorite movie that that you have to watch at Christmas time.
Gosh. Can I give a slightly larger number than one, like 23 or so, or
well, maybe cap it at 21.
For me, It's a Wonderful Life. Like all growing up, we watched that like repeatedly throughout Christmas and other parts of the year too. But it just really spoke to our family a lot. The idea of like the value of each person, and also like I think a part that particularly spoke to us was where the guy like yells at him to get out of the road, like when he's about to kill himself. You know what I'm talking about?
Like on the bridge?
Yeah, on the bridge. And the guy's like, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. Look where you're going, And,
like the whole theme of the movie is that guy spells it out right there.
Yeah. Like, I mean, that you literally, when you're talking to people, like you literally don't know if they're like at the end of their rope, or on the edge. And also just, what life is about, which is kind of similar to what we were just talking about with Groundhog Day, like that life is all about doing for others, and building other people up.
Yeah, it's funny because It's Wonderful Life is almost the opposite of Groundhog Day.
Oh, is it really?
Instead, because instead of reliving your life again with yourself as a focus, it's your life without yourself at all. And Bill Murray's the guy who does all things for himself, and whoever happens to his life, and then George Bailey does nothing for himself, is constantly sacrificing his dreams. So yeah, that's funny. I never saw those. They're like the black and white negative. There are even ones in black and white, ones in color.
That's true. That's true.
So who's your favorite character from It's a Wonderful Life? Because I want to say who mine is.
Who's my favorite character?
Yeah. Not counting George Bailey.
Not counting George Bailey. Oh, that's rough.
Colby, yeah, you feel free to jump in too.
Sure.
I don't know. I mean, of course, Clarence the Angel has some.
I was going to say Clarence. You can't.
He has some of the best lines.
I was going to say Clarence.
I mean, I think I've always identified a lot with Mary for very mysterious
Virgin
reasons.
Mother.
Can't imagine why. Like even as a kid, I was like, "That's the kind of wife I want to grow up to be." But I mean, hasn't quite panned out yet. But just like how like
you like take an old abandoned house, fix it up for the honeymoon with posters.
Although whenever like I like paint a room in our house or something, I do like have like images in my head of her like putting up the wallpaper in their house. Like day after day she made their house into a home, and all that. But yeah, just her quiet support of him and like how she's he's a rock in himself. You know what I mean? Like it's not like he's a flighty person. Oh shoot, I'm talking too loud for the kids falling asleep. But it's not like he's
excited.
Such a strong person, but she's also such a strong person. And like the way she handles like when he's falling apart and stuff, is just so sort of beautiful, and how she sees the value in all that he's done, and she too could have lived this life that would have been more luxurious potentially if she had chosen other paths, but this is the life she wanted, was this life of doing good for others.
I mean, she's like, I'm thinking about now, she's like an angel. Like she dedicated herself, like when she's a little girl, she leans over the counter and says, "Is this your bad year? I will love you my whole life, George Bailey." And she does, because when George isn't around in the alternate universe, the parallel reality or whatever, She's a spinster librarian.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she never does marry anybody else. Not even, remember who she's dancing with at the party? Do you remember like who George takes her away from?
It's
at
like
the
that
dance?
little kind of dorky guy.
It's the grown-up alfalfa from the Little Rascals.
Oh, is it really?
Oh.
Yeah, same actor. So, well, she didn't marry him, thank God.
Well, and she's kind of a perfect example of like the whole, which this is like a deep topic that could possibly like derail everything, but like the submission thing, you know, like that a wife is that when we say the submission of a wife, it's really being supportive of the mission of her husband, you know, and she's kind of an exemplary figure of that in a movie, you know, that she's there just like, you know, kind of reinforcing everything that he's doing his whole life.
And her name just happens to be Mary.
Yeah.
And
it's a pretty great name.
He very, yeah. And he does, I mean, it gives him the opportunity to be the Christ figure and ultimately he is the savior of the whole town versus the evil figure of Mr. Potter.
Mr. Potter, yeah.
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 So yeah, I guess you already took everybody's favorite character when you said Clarence.
Well, I didn't take
Mary.
him. I took Mary. I just said he's pretty great.
Oh, okay. Well, there's not as much to say about Clarence, come to think of it, after all the good things you said.
Well, he's
about
super
Mary.
pro-life.
Oh, what's he do that's pro-life?
Each man's life touches so many other lives.
Oh yeah.
And when he's not there, it leaves a terrible hole.
Oh, that's awesome. I was gonna say something stupid about how his favorite book is Tom Sawyer. I like his voice too, but so what's yours, Colby? What's your favorite?
He's gonna be like, I've never seen
Die.
Were you about to say Die Hard?
Die Hard.
No, it's funny. So I was at my fiance's house for Christmas, and we were trying to pick a movie to watch, and I think we picked the Santa Claus 2. Mm-hmm. And her dad was like, "Oh, well, the only good Christmas movie that's ever been is Die Hard." I'm like, "All right, don't be one of those people, you know."
Did you see the Christmas meme? It's not Christmas until I see Hans Gruber fall from Zapataka Tower or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Alan Rickman, rest in peace.
Yep.
Poor Alan Rickman.
Okay.
You know, this is going to make me sound terrible, but actually, I don't think I have a favorite Christmas movie.
That makes you sound terrible.
It does.
We're leaving.
It does.
We're virtually together anyway.
Probably. I mean, if I had to guess, a movie that was around Christmas time. What was it? I saw a movie one time called The Holiday.
Like the Holiday. Was it Claire Danes?
I love The Holiday.
Yeah, and
is
Jack
it
Black.
Claire Danes? Yeah, Jack Black.
Kate Winslet.
Cameron
and
Diaz.
Cameron Diaz.
Kate Winslet. Yeah, Cameron
And
Diaz
Jack
and
Black.
Jack Black. Yeah.
And Jude Law.
Of course, it's not the best movie, but that's probably the last movie I saw that was like around Christmas time. As a theme.
It's got some good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, definitely shows, because I do remember, was a Jude Law's character. They kind of put this mysterious aura around, like, him having this other woman in his life, and it comes to be his daughter. So, like, have you seen the movie, Scott, or no?
Yeah, no, I've seen it, but just once.
Okay, but yeah, but like, she's like, they went on a date, they're having this, good time, and she's like wanting to get close to him, but he's kind of defensive or guarded. And come to find out, the quote unquote other woman in his life is his daughter. And so I don't know. It's just interesting to see. But for me, I guess Christmas, and I guess it kind of relates to this movie, but like Christmas is not really, or has become more of like a vacation or retreat season instead of like a religious or a liturgical season for most people, which is very unfortunate, and I guess it can tie into our theme of 12 Days of Christmas. I've always been disenchanted with the whole commercialization before Christmas. It's terrible. It's actually one of the things me and my now fiance have disagreed on, because she's all about Christmas, right? She's all about, let's buy decorations, but in the house, let's buy a tree, let's do this, this, and this. And I'm like, the first thing that comes to my mind is like, well, that's all stuff I got to take down in 2 weeks.
Those are all allergens.
Right. But not many people focus on the actual liturgical aspect of what Christmas is.
So this year, having just barely survived putting up Christmas ornaments on our house in past years, breaking various parts of me. This year we finally, our Christmas ornaments, Ashton, my wife asked me to do this from when we first bought the house. We finally did this year. We made a big giant Advent wreath in our yard.
Nice.
With Christmas lights. And so, like with timber posts and concrete, standing upright with concrete and buckets and stuff like that. But, so we wrapped the timber posts in the respective colors for the Advent wreath, and then we'd light one each week, and the kids kind of got into it. And so that's kind of our way of, it's not just glitz and glamour and did I say glamour?
Did you? So are you guys actually lighting these on fire?
No,
okay.
We got like.
I was just curious.
I got off Amazon. I got
like
these
a lamp or something built up.
I got this these LED lights off Amazon that they're like. They have 1,000 little arms shooting off the core, so it's like this burst of light. Ooh. And it kind of has different colors shooting out.
That sounds more legit than what we have something similar, but it's like little I don't know what to call it, like little candelabras, little individual little stakes with like a little glass hurricane lamp at the top.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Kind of sounds like a Ole Miss tailgate.
And we have like the little battery operated votive candles and like a bow on them. But it's like I don't know, it's like kind of our little, I don't know what to call it, silent protest or something to the neighborhood. Because this year we instituted a ton of Advent traditions this year. But we're kind of realizing, or I'm realizing, I think Cody's perfectly satisfied, but I'm like realizing that I didn't plan on enough for the Christmas season. That we had so much build up, but it was Advent build up, in fairness, but still, like, now that we've got Christmas, it's like we have less traditions that we're doing. But we started a thing this year where the first Sunday of Advent we put out our Advent wreaths. The second week we put out our indoor decorations and talk to the kids about like, we're preparing our hearts for Christ, like the inside of the house. And then like, oh, and we're showing it to the world. So we put up our lights the third week and put up our tree the fourth week. Well, and it was like the end of the third week that we put up our lights, and our neighbors have done their lights kind of to complement ours over the last few years because we share like trees. So their lights had been up since like the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah, which is totally great. But their lights had been up since the day after Thanksgiving, whereas ours waited like 3 weeks to go up, and they took theirs down yesterday. so our joint lights.
Our 12 days of Christmas.
Yeah, I'm like, geez, that was less than 48 hours of Christmas. So our joint light display existed.
Jesus grew up so fast.
I know he did.
Kids grew up so fast.
Our joint light display lasted for a grand total of like 4 days before it was taken down.
We have sort of a new Advent wreath tradition. In addition to the lawn ornaments, I think Ash and I both did this. We kind of, the kids each want to blow out a candle, right? Like that they like will kill each other for the opportunity to blow out the candles. So some of the kids are shorter than others, so like I have to kind of lower the 2-year-old kind of to blow out the candle. And well, long story short, he's short half an eyebrow now.
Well,
gosh.
We had to trim his hair. I kept singeing my children.
We may or may not have set a small little clump of hair on fire on one of our children, but so
smells like burnt feathers. That which is a reference to one of my favorite Christmas movies.
Don't say it. Wait. Little Women.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, the March Sisters. Not Christmas without the March Sisters.
It's true. It's true. But yeah, Cody went to help her blow it out. He was behind her, and he gave a big, and he didn't realize that he caught some of her hair. So the candle went out, but as it went out, some of her hair passed through.
Oh god, it's like the way Dobby does. Spoiler alert.
I don't remember. Confession, I've only seen the Harry Potter movies once. One time.
Confession.
I've only seen one Harry Potter
Oh,
movie.
wow.
Confession.
And it wasn't even voluntary.
Confession, I've seen them like, I don't know, 70 times each. Confession, they're playing right now.
That reminds me of, like, in Parks and Recreation when Anne is telling Leslie Nope that she forces people to do things. She's like, you forced me to watch all 8 Harry Potter movies. I don't even like Harry Potter. And Leslie Nope's like, you love Harry Potter. You watched all 8 movies.
Yep.
You love it.
We
Colby.
are literally watching Harry Potter right now.
Are you really?
Oh, gosh.
No, I just had to find a way to say literally.
Literally.
So, my favorite kid Christmas movie, it is Santa Claus, the movie, which is not the Santa Claus, right? Not like the legal Claus. And I feel like nobody, unless you were born in 1983 and, hit your childhood groove in 86, 87, even remembers Santa Claus the movie. Do either of y'all remember it at all?
No.
I remember watching it, but I couldn't tell you what it's about.
Well, it's about Santa Claus. But yeah, it's it is like the if we're talking Inside Out, like the core memories, of your childhood, that's some of my core memories. Like that to me is the best representation, like the origins of Santa Claus and like his wood workshop and stuff. Oh,
this isn't the claymation.
So
Santa Claus is coming to town that we're talking about, right?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just making
This
sure.
I watched that one over the weekend. This is so. I actually just looked it up. So, Scott, consider you're the only one that was alive when this movie came out. 1985.
Yeah. Pretty sure I saw it in
I might
theaters.
have been alive, just in utero at that point, and therefore unable to watch movies.
In utero is where I first saw the Anne of Green Gables movies. But yeah, the Santa Claus movie, I always forget the name of the guy who plays Santa Claus, but if you're looking up you can tell me. But it's
David Huddleston.
Yeah, that's right. He's played in some westerns and stuff, but it's got Dudley Moore as Patch, like the chief elf, or not chief elf, but like the inventive elf, and then John Lithgow is the evil toy maker, and then it's got one of the coolest actors ever, Burgess Meredith, Mickey from Rocky, as the chief elf or the elder elf.
That's what it says.
He has a beard that's like, I don't know, 200 feet long and needs like 40 elves to carry it in 2 lines behind him. It's the coolest thing ever. Wow. And I'm pretty sure my early understanding of God was based off of Burgess Meredith's ancient elf figure, and slowly I adapted it to more orthodox standards. But that was some key memories for me anyway.
Well, dang, I'm going to have to put that in my queue and go watch it.
It's so good. At least the first half. The second half, just becomes a giant commercial for McDonald's and Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Product placement.
Well, I know it's got a 6 out of 10 on IMDb, so I'm not sure how good it is.
I mean, that seems not bad.
Well, it's probably fully rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. But I guess my adult movie is what Ash and I always watch is Holiday Inn, which that's where you first get the song White Christmas, not actually from White Christmas, right? It's originally from Holiday Inn.
Yeah.
So that's awesome movie.
Well, that's good. So actually, I will say I just watched White Christmas for the first time this last weekend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, with Valerie. So same. I think I remember seeing it when I was a kid, but I just couldn't recall because my grandmother used to watch all those old time movies like all the time. So like it seemed a little familiar, but watching it again, it was pretty good.
I love the military, like how they're honoring the general and everything in White Christmas.
Yes.
But the Danny Kaye, some of the dance numbers are little like avant-garde or like modern, just a little freaky for a Christmas movie. Oh, my wife just brought baby Elizabeth in to snicker at me. Here, let me hold her. Let's see if she has separation anxiety coming away from her mom.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there she goes.
Yep. Heard it. Yes?
So, you mentioned Jude Law a little ways back. I just wanted to say that Jude Law is going to be in the new Captain Marvel movie.
Really?
He's going to be like Captain Marvel, or like the old Captain Marvel. And then, Brie Larson's going to be like the main Captain Marvel.
Yeah. Okay. Neat. And I guess a lot of people are curious to see how this is going to start tying into, because apparently the Captain Marvel movie happens, of course, before.
Yeah, it's like
Infinity
in the
War.
90s or something.
Yeah, it's like way ahead of time.
Which, it's weird. It's like that, are the 90s, does that make it a period piece now? I mean, is that far enough in the past that, it like, requires all its own fads and everything?
I mean, it'd probably have to. Because even though it's within the series or within the Marvel Universe, it's going to be its own movie.
I like how X-Men Apocalypse, kind of had that 80s feel, or like early 90s, I guess.
Yeah. Was X-Men Apocalypse, and then what was the other one? Was it First Class?
Yeah, which was like 7. Well, there's one between there that I think had the 70s feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that right now you can or maybe a month ago you could, Brie Larson came out in all the different costumes that Captain Marvel was going to wear. Like there's the green one, like when she's with the Kree, and then like, the red, gold, and blue, which is like the more normal.
The typical, yeah.
I also heard they're doing Great American Hero, which is like, have you ever heard of that show? Like
no.
The Greatest American Hero. It's like from the 70s, but they're like remaking it because I think ABC is doing it. They still have the rights. That's like I guess if it's ABC, that they have everything Disney would have access to. I don't know why they'd use that, but yeah. So it's going to be updated with, instead of a white dude, it's going to be like an Afghani or a Pakistani woman that is I think she fought, was like this special forces with the Afghan army, or
okay.
And she comes somehow she gets to America, but it's an interesting twist on an old story.
Gotcha.
Old, meaning 70s.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing you'll definitely have to be the main voice in, because I never kept up with anything comic book or typical Marvel or DC stuff. I mean, once the movie started coming out, I did start reading a little bit of backstories just to kind of have an idea of the stories. But I never really kept up with any of the actual, fandom.
It's insane. Have you seen like the movies planned for the future, like the hundreds of Marvel and DC movies planned out? I mean, it's like they planned out at least a decade into the future. It's mind-boggling.
Well, I think it kind of plays on, I don't know, some friends and I were talking about this one time, but it seems like every new movie that comes out, is a new box office record.
Mm-hmm. Like Aquaman.
I don't necessarily think it's because movies are more popular. I think it's because they keep raising ticket prices.
Yeah. It's kind of an artificial...
Right, it's an artificial inflation. But yeah, like everything is just so hyped now that it just gets built up and built up and built up, and then it's just this release. So they have to continue. It's almost like the same business model that Apple uses, where they have to develop like this big update that they have to market and produce to get everyone's hype up, to keep attention, because if they don't, you just lose it.
I'm looking up as we're talking, the highest grossing films, like adjusted for inflation. And they say, it's not on the list I'm looking at. Number one is Avatar and then Titanic. But they say that that Gone with the Wind, adjusted for inflation, is still the number one highest grossing.
Wow.
Just,
well, some of these make sense.
Yeah.
Was it filmsite.org? I just typed it in at Google and this is what popped up. But yes, it's Gone with the Wind, Star Wars Episode 4, and The Sound of Music are the top 3.
Yeah, it looks like,
which makes sense.
On this one, in terms of worldwide gross, it looks like Avengers Infinity War popped up to number 4.
Wow.
I'm just glad that that's just Jurassic World. I want Jurassic Park to be up here. Oh, man. Let's see if we can get into some of this Days of Christmas thing. So we can.
Oh, yeah.
So what I have is day 0 basically is Christmas Day, and then day 1 is the 26th, which is Feast of St. Stephen, Boxing Day, and then this would be day 2, the Feast of St. John the Evangelist. Is that, do y'all have a different number?
Yeah. I think Christmas is the first day.
That's what my expectation
like
was.
Liturgically.
Because let's see, it ends at that definitely makes a lot of sense.
Well, yeah, and it depends on the liturgical calendar, but it's not always exactly 12 days, right?
Yeah, maybe that's it, because the 6th of January is that always the Feast of the Epiphany? Let's see.
So
Feast of Epiphany.
Google, being the authority on all things liturgical, says that the first day this year is Tuesday, December 25th, and the 12th is Saturday, January 5th. But
so 12th night is the eve of the Epiphany?
Yes. I don't know. So maybe you're right. So that's the issue. I guess right there is what you were saying. Maybe it's 12th night, so maybe it's like the vigil of Epiphany is the 12th night. You know what I'm saying? Like with sunset.
Yeah, I see.
Because I don't know. Go ahead.
I don't know. Well, I've got one of the article I wrote about this, which I wrote last year, so it's not as fresh as I'd like it to be. But so in the Middle Ages, the first 3 feasts, the first 3 days of Christmas, it was a tradition that they each were dedicated to a different part of the clergy. So, like, if the numbering starts with the first day, the day after Christmas, it would be St. Stephen for deacons, John the Evangelist for priests, and then the Holy Innocents, is that day 3? Yeah. So that would be young men, seminarians, training for the clergy, or even altar servers. So I don't know. At least, I don't know. Maybe in the Middle Ages, the first 3 days were those 3 feasts. I don't know. I wish I could say this definitively. It seems like it makes a lot more sense what y'all are saying, though.
No, sure. What I've read and found says Roman Catholic liturgical feasts on the general Roman calendar. The first day is the Feast of St. Stephen, Proto-Martyr. The 27th is the Feast of St. John the Apostle.
Right.
And then the Feast of the Holy Innocents.
Those are the first 3 days?
The first 3 days.
Well, this is stupendous.
Okay. Well,
and
we get extra day.
Then the following... the following Sunday... Well, then it says, the 29th...
I'm just glad my blog article hasn't been wrong for a whole year.
Well, yeah, it says 28th is the Feast of Holy Innocents, and then the 29th is the Feast of St. Thomas Becket.
Yeah.
And then the Sunday within the octave is the Feast of the Holy Family.
Yeah, let's see. So let me scroll down to Feast of... Yeah, and not to forget day 5, the Feast of St. Edwin of Worcester.
Always popular.
But so today, December 27th, the Feast of St. John the Evangelist, what I love to mention about St. John, or St. John the Apostle, like Colby said, is that that verse at the end of John's Gospel. It's chapter 21, like 20 through 25, where Jesus and Peter are talking, and feed my lambs, tend my sheep. That whole discussion, and Peter like says, "Well, what about him?" And speaking in reference to John the Apostle, and Jesus says, "If it is my will that he remain until I come, what is that to you?" It's that weird little passage that Peter's like, well, they knew something. And, from that verse, you have this tradition that perhaps John didn't die, and that you may even, it's like a ancient Catholic legend that he may even be, still walking the earth, which
I'm the only one that I read that, and I'm like, that what I've always been told it means like that he wasn't going to die a martyr's death, but I'm always like, but what if what if he's still alive? Yeah,
we're not ruling this out.
It's funny, like I don't think anyone's made a movie about that. Like you have so many movies of like that Joshua movie, or like The Shack, or different kind of strange things, but like I've never seen anything where it's like, oh yeah, that's the Apostle John.
And saying that now, like now that you're talking about it, I don't think I've ever had a conversation or heard anybody talk about that.
Really?
No.
Because we got to ask you what Dr. Petrie says about this.
Well, if I've never heard of it, then I've never heard of it.
Have we said about y'all's unique?
Oh yeah, you need to mention that.
I will ask him that question this weekend, though, because we have our family Christmas Day on Sunday.
Yeah, so one of the ties that bind us all together is the awesomeness of Dr. Brant Petrie, who just happens to be Colby's uncle, right?
Yes.
So his wife and my mother are sisters, which would make him my uncle. So it's always a funny topic of conversation when people were talking about him. I'm like, oh yeah, that's my uncle. And they're like, what? What?
He doesn't have family.
No, he doesn't.
He was born
John,
from the sea foam,
walking the earth.
He's got a bunch of his. He's got a bunch of his own kids, but he does have other family.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's one thing we'll have to do eventually is get him on.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Well, even with my connections, that probably would still be a difficult task. So I'm not going to promise that.
Gotta deliver, man. Gotta deliver the goods. So just to round it out, Colby, you kind of said day 4, December 29th, Feast of Thomas of Becket, St. Thomas of Becket, Archbishop of Canterbury, martyred. Day 5, Feast of St. Edwin of Worcester.
It's a pretty great name.
It's almost as cool as Hedwig, and if you scramble the letters, it's pretty much there. But that was he was a Benedictine bishop, established monasteries in England. Then day 6, December 31st, New Year's Eve. On that day, we celebrate Saint Sylvester the First, and that's even New Year's Eve is still, some people still call it Sylvester, like S-I-L Vester, because of Pope Saint Sylvester. And then day 7, the 1st of January, that's the Feast of the Solemnity of Mary. That we have a whole feast of just Mary's motherhood is pretty awesome. Let's see, day 8, Feast of Saints Basil the Great and Gregory Nazianzus, some of our Cappadocian fathers. Day 9, Feast of the Holy Name of Jesus. Day 10, Feast of St. Elizabeth Ann Seton, our patron saint of Catholic education, my wife's confirmation saint. Day 11, Epiphany Eve, also the Feast of St. John Newman. One of the cool things about St. John Newman is that he was the pastor in Pittsburgh, and can y'all guess who his associate pastor was?
Nope.
Blessed Zelos.
Ah.
Yeah. So can you imagine being in a parish where you've got like 2 future saints as your pastor and associate pastor? And then finally, day 12, Feast of the Epiphany.
You said that so nonchalantly. It's just the Feast of the Epiphany.
Not much.
Build everything up all the days before, and then I'll just leave it.
Not much happened that day. Oh, yeah. So if I ran through that pretty fast, anything stand out about any of those days, or any stirrings about any particular day?
Not anything significant, but I will say St. Basil stands out to me because a friend of mine has a pet rabbit whose name is Basil. Named after St. Basil the Great.
Not named after Basil Rathbone, the voice of Sherlock Holmes from like the 1920s.
Whereas totally similar experience, the priest who walked me down the aisle at our wedding was named Father Basil. So just like the rabbit connection. I'm joking.
That's
just a little bit.
Maybe a little better.
But he did actually. There is a rodent connection that he had a ferret, much beloved ferret that he gifted to us when he moved away. So there actually is a rabbit ferret.
Oh, that's where those ferret
from
came
Father
from?
Basil. Yes.
Oh. Well, there's more than one rodent connection, unless I might be messing this up. But in the Great Mouse Detective movie, which is based off Sherlock Holmes, the name of the mouse is Basil, based off of Basil Rathbone being the
that's so funny.
Sherlock Holmes actor from the 30s or whatever.
Well, so something that stood out to me from all the feast days is it seemed like it was kind of alternating between martyrs and like great teachers or great, and
that's cool.
And with St. John, just thinking about like one of the main things I associate with Christmas is light, like light in the darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And like just at the beginning of the Gospel of John, like about the light came among us, that just seems like really poignant for the whole 12 days of Christmas, and that all of those people are light in the darkness.
I think even the Eastern Church, Eastern Orthodoxy, they celebrate on the Epiphany. They combine it with the baptism of the Lord. I think they celebrate those together. And either its current or ancient name of the feast was Phobesimos or Photosimos. Something. It's a feast of light, right?
Huh.
And both those things representing to them light. There's probably a lot more that could be said about that if I had prepared, but yeah, I think you're spot on with that, and it's even enshrined in the liturgical calendar of the Eastern Church.
Well, I think it's good too how you pointed out the theme of either martyrs or great teachers, because one of the things that stood out to me is St. John Newman falls within these days.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't really make this, valuation, but, most Catholic campus ministries originally were started as what are called Newman Centers. And so St. John Newman was actually attributed with starting a lot of educational, initiatives where he was within the diocese. And so a lot of educational ministries are attributed or paid homage to St. John Newman.
And I should disambiguate. I feel like I could have thought of a shorter word for that, but this is St. John Newman. Let's see, it's Neumann. Mm-hmm. There's also another John Newman, spelled differently, but then there's also John Henry Newman, Cardinal John Henry Newman, maybe. The Anglican convert in England, from England. I want to say that's where the Newman Centers came from.
Okay.
I don't know if somebody can help me clarify that, but because the Newman Centers are spelled Neumann, right?
I cannot confirm that. So I'm not sure.
I think that's right. We'll if we're wrong, I'll make sure to chastise myself with a correction in the next podcast.
Or thank you for correcting me. So I appreciate that.
But yeah, like I was trying to do a post on John Newman last year, and I think I posted the wrong Newman. And it wasn't John Henry Newman. It's like there's another John Newman that's just spelled like with one less N or something. It's very confusing.
We got too many saints.
Yeah, we just need less saints. No, I'm kidding. That's wrong. That's the wrong way.
That's the opposite of what we need.
We need more. One other thing to mention about the 12 Days of Christmas is, there's kind of that urban legend or myth or whatever you want to call it, that the 12 Days of Christmas were like an underground catechism for Catholics, in the English Reformation, So, like, here, I've got it. So, 2 turtle doves, the Old and New Testaments, 3 French hens, faith, hope, charity, theological virtues. The thing about it is that's probably not true, because how does that help you remember faith, hope, and charity, 3 French hens? There's no intrinsic connection between those two.
No. I mean, if you're going to have a conversation about the connection, you might as well have a conversation about the actual topic.
Yeah. I mean, it's not, and it's not like only Catholics had the Old and New Testaments. It's like when the Anglicans still had the same division of the. They may not have the Deuterocanon, but they're still got the same theological virtue. So it's just basic Christian catechesis here, and some of it gets a little iffy. Like 11 pipers piping is the 11 faithful apostles. 12 drummers drumming are the 12 points of doctrine in the Apostles' Creed. Like, I feel there could be more points delineated from the Apostles' Creed.
Yeah, I would say that's a stretch.
Yeah.
But again, when you talk about theology, it's always something you're digging up. So, it might not make complete sense to us at the moment, but I'm sure once you have the conversations, there's probably something in there.
Yeah, it probably is some kernel of truth to it. And I think... the tree itself, there is a very Christological meaning to the tree, and my true love and the tree, in terms of the cross.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that the tree
terms
is representative of the cross, but the 3 French hens things and the 11 faithful apostles, so you can take anything in popular culture and relate it to the Bible somehow, or relate it to Catholicism somehow.
Or like Wizard of Oz connecting to the politics at the time. Like
that actually, I actually read a book on that in high school, and that made complete sense. It made complete sense. I just went and Googled the 12 Days of Christmas, the 3 French hens, and was reading something, and there's nothing to indicate that 3 French hens by any means relates to faith, hope, and love. They're just saying they stand for it.
Yeah, how does that help? How is that a mnemonic?
Were the French at the time known for being those virtues?
Not to the English. 5 golden rings, the first 5 books of the Old Testament. Why would I need to know that? Why do I need a mnemonic to remember that the first 5 books, there were 5 of them?
The Pentateuch.
Yeah, I mean, if it was 5 golden Pentateuchs,
yeah, where do the rings come in?
That might help.
10 lords a leaping for the 10 commandments?
Yeah, what the...
So 10 guys jumping around are going to remind you of the hard and fast rules of the Lord's love for you.
Yeah, the Lord's typically breaking
maybe it's that the Lord leaps when we break the commandments. Yeah, it's like 10 Lords leaping. Like, Lord is leaping 10 times because you keep breaking the commandments.
Because you send 10. I like that.
Every time you break a rule, the Lord jumps.
And so
home for religious order. I can't remember which order it was. Wow. But anyways, on the grounds, all of the buildings there are 100 plus years old. Well, the principal and the headmaster at the time, were trying. It was Peter Fletcher. They were demolishing a old house and barn. And so it was myself and one other friend and like a couple other people. They told us, like, look, if you want to salvage any of this wood, we'll give you a couple of days to come in and take whatever you want. After that, we're demolishing it. And so I remember going to help my friend, and we recovered like some beautiful long, I'm talking like 14, 15 foot cypress planks.
They're probably hand hewn, hand planed.
Huh. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So beautiful, beautiful wood. And I remember helping him harvest a ton of stuff, but I didn't keep much for myself. And now I'm like, man, I should have kept a couple things. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Good. Not just the fact to say, like, this is from, this historical building, but I mean, these things again, like, can tell how many people have either been in that home or have used that barn, or even the religious brothers, that were part of that property that used those buildings. So much history and memories that are probably there that are tied to that wood.
Well, I'd say that this, our sponsor for this first episode and some of our first episodes is Holy Water Books, a publisher, a small imprint publisher of Catholic books. Some of the books I've written, and one of our y'all know Brian Costello.
Met him at the Men of God conference.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Or the Immaculata conference.
Right. That's another thing we should probably mention. The Men of the Immaculata conference coming up it's a Catholic men's conference. Men from all over southern Louisiana come. It's March 9th, which is the first Saturday of Lent. We try to always put on the first Saturday of Lent. What we'll have to do, because we'll probably all be together for the men's conference, we should do a podcast there at the conference and maybe get like Tim Staples or something to join us. Fun. I think we could swing that.
Yeah,
that's a great idea.
I mean, I'm definitely going to be there having a table for the Knights of Columbus insurance, and hopefully just for recruiting Knights of Columbus members. So, yeah.
And if anybody listening might be interested in that,
go to www.kofc.org/join us. You can actually become an e-member today, and you can find out more information about the Knights on their website. And hey, feel free to get in touch with me. I'll be happy to talk to you more about the Knights.
Do you want to? Do they have a particular email or something?
Actually,
or I can provide it.
Cody.reed@kofc.org is a great email to reach me at. That's my work email, and that's the one that I pay attention to the most.
Again, thank you to Holy Water Books, our sponsor for today's podcast. If you'd like to check out the catalog of books offered by Holy Water, you can check them out at holywaterbooks.com. Again, that's holywaterbooks.com. I guess that wraps up our first couple of podcasts. Anything else, Colby, you want to mention Christmas-wise, 12 Days of Christmas-wise, theme song-wise? We still haven't figured out what our theme song is going to be.
No, we haven't. I guess let's figure out something before the next one. But no, if I did start making some other comments, we'd be talking for another 30 minutes. So
yeah,
probably should
be working on our third
wrap it up. Right. But
all right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. We hope to continue doing this on a maybe every couple weeks basis. We'll be talking about current Catholic events, nerdery, and anything that you might submit to us to talk about. Thanks so much for listening. God bless, and we'll see you next time.
Alrighty.
Bum